Hey guys, Sean here from Shootie School. I pulled out one more old video. I probably did it a year ago, probably more than a year ago. And what I cover in this video, I'm using 𝗖𝗎𝗪𝗘 2 for the most part. And I'm talking about MIDI management, protecting your MIDI, workflows with MIDI that are non-destructive. You know, it's like this, like a eating your vegetables video. But on top of that, which is also kind of fun, is I'm doing like hybrid kits. 𝗖𝗎𝗪𝗘 2 is my main kit in here, but I'm using native instruments, action strikes, damage, and one other one, I just can't think of it at the moment. So it's a cool hybrid kit that I'm introducing that might spark some creative juices for you. And it's overall just a healthy video. So, you know, if you're working in the piano roll, you're getting MIDI into your DAW, this might be a good one for you. And don't be afraid to leave just one single product. Don't even leave your main product, combine it with another manufacturer's, just like I do in this video. So I hope you guys enjoy it. It's an 𝗖𝗎𝗪𝗘 2 related video, and I just wanted to unload it now because, you know, a month from now 𝗖𝗎𝗪𝗘 2 is going to be old news. So rock on. All right guys, I'm going to try and bust out an instant tutorial here. It's just I'm trying to make it through this complex song I'm doing. There's just so many parts. This is a typical metal song with some electronic influence, and look at how many tracks I got. It's nauseating and getting confusing, but the point I want to relay is here for you guys that are working with your DAW and 𝗖𝗎𝗪𝗘. Here's my entire song here, taking up the screen, and the verses and the choruses and the pre-choruses, they're all a similar dynamic. It's easy just to put a drum template up and it makes it through the mix. But when it comes to the bridge, which the bridge is the highlight of the song, which is bad. Don't do that. Make your chorus the highlight, but there's no rules to music. The bridge is really the highlight of the song for me, and I've added so many textures, so many colors to it. It's hard to make my regular template drum kit punch through. What could I do? I could do a bunch of things. I could try and EQ the instruments out of the drum kit and maybe turn that EQ on and off just for the bridge. Maybe I should do that. That's one idea. I'm not talking about the best. I'm going over my options. I haven't even thought about this yet. I could go into just the velocity lane of my MIDI notes right here. I haven't humanized this song yet, so a lot of these velocities are pretty static. But here's the bridge section. I could go in and just kind of maybe push up all the velocities. That's also going to change the tone of my drums. That's another option I could try. But here's typically how Shootie works is I don't want to do anything destructive. This track right here, 𝗖𝗎𝗪𝗘 2 tracks right here, and here's the MIDI lane we're looking at right here. I don't want to do anything destructive to that because I spent a lot of time creating that. And if I start going deep down a path, you know, I don't want to spend a lot of time recovering my work because I made an incorrect decision. And here's a great way I work. I already started to do it, and then I said, oh, I should shoot a quick video. So I'm going to take this 𝗖𝗎𝗪𝗘 track and duplicate it along with its active playlist, which I already did. So it's right here. So here's my duplicate track right under it. I just want the verse to pop. This song's getting so busy that once the bridge comes up, all these instruments are getting crushed through the buses, their own grouped buses, and then they're pounding the master fader. It's really competitive. So I want these drums to pop. So I'm going to grab where my bridge section starts. Actually, a little bit more in where my bridge starts, where the dynamics of the band come crashing in. Hear my fingernails scratching on the cup. I've got so many different things going on here, especially as it progresses. It's getting overwhelming. I lose my... I'm going to take care of a lot of these issues in mixing, but the drums are still going to be a problem. There's so many other instruments beating my drum track down. I need people still bobbing their head to the core drum track. So I'm going to grab the bridge section where the drums are getting beat up a little bit, which is here, and I'm just going to cut this out. I'm going to sever it on the left and the right side so I can isolate it, and then I'm going to mute it, right? Now the drums are simply cut out for this bridge section. You still hear some alternate percussion from action strikes and from native instruments damage and stuff like that. Now what do? I take this duplicated drum track and I make the opposite selection. I'm just going to delete that stuff. I'll zoom out for you just to make sure you understand. So now here's my original drum track, which I don't want to mess with too much because I might want to revert back to it. And here's my duplicated drum track in which I only cut out the section I want to toy with. So if I go down this rabbit hole and I decide, you know what, I hurt my mix and I want to backtrack, all I have to do is unmute these MIDI blocks and I'm right back in action. I'm not going to go, oh boy, let's step back, let's step back, let's step back, or let's go back to older sessions that I've saved. As you can see, I'm on version 18 of the song, so I can go back to a previous state of the song and import that drum track and hope that it's a modern version of it. So I hope that's sensible to you. Anyway, now that I have this up,
it's about to be reborn. What's with the cleats like we're it off a swan? So here on my finger.
Let me unmute my duplicated part.
So here on my fingernails, scratching on the coffin door, cause you'll lay long. I cannot wait no more to release my call forever.
Everything's there, it's just not loud enough. Should we just turn the whole kit up, or is it just a few instruments that aren't making it through? Because I feel like I can hear that quarter note cymbal, which will probably pick up to an eighth note. I feel like that's still where I don't need that to be louder. It's not a highlight. I need that kick and that snare to be still pounding through the mix. This is like, we need the foundation of your house to be solid or it's going to fall down. I just need that kick and that snare, I think. Let me listen one more time.
So here on my fingernails, scratching on the coffin door, cause you'll lay long.
I'll double check and just see what the drum's doing. What was I just doing? I was figuring out what channels I want to actually hear because I don't need to hear this whole kit up. And I was making sure the compressor channel didn't have what I was looking for. I might bring the compressor channel up a little bit because I like the bell of the ride ringing. And that comes through the compressor a little bit. So let me just give that a tiny bit of love. And this is 4.4 and this is -3.2. Let's do a dB each. I should have typed this in. I'm going to give some pre-roll so I can hear the transition from the previous quieter kit into the loud kit and see if it holds up when this whole mix comes in, you know.
What's with the cleats like we're it off a swan? So here on my fingernails, scratching on the coffin door, cause you'll lay long. I cannot wait no more to release my call forevermore.
I forgot to unsolo the compressor. Whew! Again, pretend that didn't happen.
What's with the cleats like we're it off a swan? So here on my fingernails, scratching on the coffin door, cause you'll lay long. I cannot.
Heck yeah, I forget who I learned this from, but you know, since the snare drum is typically a very momentary loud transient, it's easier to turn it up and it's easier not to make the mistake of making it too loud because it's only a momentary song. And I forget who I learned this from. I'd love to give the credit because you learn the same lesson a million times until someone says it in a memorable way. And then that's the guy that made it register to you. And the guy said, the peak of your syllables, hey, how are you doing? The peak of your cymbals, hey, how are you doing up here? try and get the snare right up there. So the snare is so momentary that it's not going to cover up a word. It's going to cover up milliseconds of a word. So words can get around how loud the snare is. I'm not saying now turn your snare up too loud everywhere. I'm saying don't be afraid to put it up where you feel comfortable, because it's so momentary it might not kill anything. Anyway, whew, I'm happy this kind of worked on the first shot. Let me check this out, because the bridge progresses through this song and gets busier. I want to see if this holds up.
What's with the clues? Like we're in an awful squad. So here my fingernails scratching on the coffin door, cause you're my law. I cannot wait no more to release my call forevermore. My remote call from the sky and turn more to blood, and then your angels will cry. You cracked the earth and reached out to the devil. Now I'm in your dimension. I'm on a level in all battle. Every intention you ever taken me up. So what's up? I'm here now, boy. Take your best shot. You have to consume. Regardless of the paths you choose. And so is I noon. You need to count, man, cause it's up.
Alright, the last like third of this, right here, the band's all still up and playing loud, but it's just, it flows more. It's less staccato. It's not as punchy, and the snare does get put in the back. Now, do I want to turn the snare up overall again? I don't, because the snare was in a good spot for the first 2/3 section. Here's one section, here's two. It falls back here. So now, remember earlier at the beginning of the tutorial, I was like, maybe you could sneak in there and automate an EQ, which I don't feel like doing right now. Or maybe I could go in and bump the velocity just for that section. And again, if I go way too far down this rabbit hole, I got these muted MIDI tracks, all preserved, like a mosquito caught in maple sap in the Stone Age. You know, it's all preserved up there. All I gotta do is hit a key command and thaw it out, and I'm right back where I am. So I'm not really worried about making ballsy moves right now, because it's not going to be a headache to revert. And that's really the point of this tutorial, besides you just seeing me work, and maybe there's something, you know, you picked up other things, but this is really just a workflow conversation. So let me find just my snares in this part. Whoops. Let me just turn up the snares just in this last third. So I'll select them. Let me send them over to the piano roll. Let me see if the fill at the end is all right before I select all of these. Yeah, I want those turned up as well. So now I've only selected the snare notes, so only the snare notes should be highlighted in the velocity. I gotta be careful I make the right selection. Like they're kind of under other notes, so I don't want to grab the wrong note at the same time. I can easily see it here, so I'll grab it. It's punching through right now. By the way, I had another critique. This whole bridge section needs to pop up just a little bit, but snare's the priority, taking care of that right now.
So what's up? I'm here now, boy. Take your best shot. You have to consume. Regardless of the paths you choose. It's always I noon. You need to count, man, cause it's time for you to.
Another warning I gave at the beginning of the tutorial is if I turn the velocity up to get more volume, I'm changing the tone of the snare, and I am. It just sounds like the snare is getting beaten badly and it doesn't deserve it. So I'm going to try and do the peaceful median of that adjustment, and I'm going to extend my velocity track because it's hard to make such a small adjustment with it so small. So cool. The last move I made was velocity. It should still be in my undo memory. I'm going to undo it. There we go. And now I'm going to make a smaller move. You know what? Let me take out these three notes. I'm holding shift and drag and select, so I still have my selection except those three notes. And now let me get the velocity out.
You have to consume. Regardless of the paths you choose. It's always I noon. You need to count, man, cause it's time for you to now.
I'm happy with that. Let me check the fill.
Time for you to now.
check that out while I was here. If I stopped the tutorial now, I might have forgot about that, never gotten back to it. And now I just want the kick up in the bridge, and we're done with this tutorial. So, give me all your lovin'. Raise the kick a little too.
Cause it's time for you to now talk. Yeah, so what's up? I'm here now, boy, take your best shot. It's always like
Oh, did I do it again? I did. I still left the kick soloed.
like we're in all the squad. Here are my fingernails scratching on the coffin door, cause you're my law. I cannot wait no more to release my call forevermore. My remote call from the sky and turn blood to blood, and then your angels will cry. You cracked the earth and reached out to the devil. Now I'm in your dimension. I'm on a
I'm happy. Let me check the last third.
now, boy, take your best shot. You have to consume regardless of the paths you choose. It's always a noon. You need to count man, cause it's time for you to now time.
It's close. This section's ready to be mixed. I've ironed all the folds out, and then when I get into mixing, I just gotta iron out the little wrinkles now. So like this demo is ready to be judged. Like this is getting to the point where I can go yay or nay, because it's massaged enough, you know. So, and you know what, and before I leave, I might as well give you guys, try and inspire you guys a little bit. This is a typical Shootie metal song, but I've decided to incorporate some electronic elements. So 𝗖𝗓𝗪𝗓 2 is really a hybrid in this song, to where it doesn't play all the drums. Sometimes I put in some complementing drum rhythms over 𝗖𝗓𝗪𝗓, and sometimes kit pieces from 𝗖𝗓𝗪𝗓 fall out and native instrument drums come in. And I'll just give you a quick example of that. It might inspire you to do like a hybrid percussion experience. This thing is a mess. Whoops. So here's my 𝗖𝗓𝗪𝗓 track. Listen to this beat. Only cymbals, right? Because this is more of a 4 on the floor. If you watch my other videos, you should know the lingo I say right now, because you've watched my videos. This is like a 4 on the floor electronic beat, and I don't want an acoustic kick drum here. I want an electric kick drum here to drive that idea home. I mean, I could have went into 𝗖𝗓𝗪𝗓 and tried to pick something out of their electronic kit, EZX's, but from my opinion, not yours, other manufacturers do that stuff way better. And I'm not dissing their electronic kit at all. I own it. I use it now and then. So what did I do? Digi-kick only. Here it is. There's the kick drum. And I also have another like puffy kick drum to back up that extremely synthetic kick drum. And I mix the snare with it. You have the kick drum down there too, which has a lot of verb on the tail, and it doesn't have the boom, it just has the is the kick there, and then I mix that with a real tight staccato, thick sub frequency bass. And there's a hybrid kit where 𝗖𝗓𝗪𝗓 is just playing the cymbals. And if we look into the verse, let's see what 𝗖𝗓𝗪𝗓 2 is doing. Nothing. I actually constructed the beat entirely from, I assume this is Damage or something. No, not Damage. What am I using? Let me unfreeze this track. We'll find out in case you're curious. I'm drawing a blank right now. Their most famous rhythm, Battery, thank you. So I'm using Battery on these primarily. So now I'm constructing the beat in the verse out of Battery. And it looks like I've really duplicated these things over and over again here, but it's for good reason. And it's actually for the same reason I showed you with 𝗖𝗓𝗪𝗓 is I wanted to put a phaser. Let's just listen to this. So I wanted to put a phaser on that hi-hat. And I didn't want to destroy the entire groove or dissect it or route it out just to get a phaser on the hi-hat, and then if I made a mistake, I'd have to undo all that work. I just replicated all my MIDI, muted all the MIDI notes except for hi-hat, slapped a phaser on there, and I was going. I mean, that took, theoretically, if I premeditated it, that could take 2 minutes, as opposed to throwing 20 minutes down to figure everything out. I mean, this workflow I'm showing you is a huge time saver. And if you've created this whole mess, you understand it, And then what did I do down here? You see those millions of MIDI notes in there? I muted them all and just kept the snare in. Fast way to work. And here we go. And then, all right, so let's move along. So in the pre-chorus, which is my really 𝗙𝗥𝗟𝗡𝗅 machine head riff, I just left a reinforcing snare down here. Here's Easy Drummer 2. And then here's the snare I back it up with. It even has like an extremely obvious 8th note delay to it. It's pretty cool. And then on top of all this stuff during the bridge, since I mostly talk about software drumming, I might as well reveal to you that there's action strikes is down here, which I like action strikes, because you can actually just hit one note and it will loop for you, or you can load up a different part of action strikes and actually start jamming the notes as you would with Easy Drummer 2. So here's what action strikes sounds like. Here's how it's incorporated. Here's more action strikes down here when that whole busy bridge comes down. These are single notes I was tapping out.
Hear my fingernails scratching on the coffin door, 'cause you're my law. I cannot wait no more to release my core. Crack the earth and reach down to the devil. Now I'm in your dimension. I'm on.
And lastly, here's one more action strikes, which is a loop. I just hit one button. Here.
It's always a noon. You need a cowman, 'cause it's
Sean from Shootie School. Instead of destroying that foundational work you put into programming your drums and mixing your drums and producing them and massaging them endlessly, don't start tearing that apart on a quick idea. Duplicate it, trim out the parts that you want to mess with and mute those parts and preserve them like a caveman frozen in the ice, right? And then start going, and then feel more confident and not worry about breaking things on your duplicated track and mess with that. And if it works, you don't have to copy that new work and bring it back over. Just keep it there. Now I have 2 Easy Drummer tracks. If resource is an issue with my computer, because I have two versions of Easy Drummer, I've got 2 EQs going, I could just freeze them, see if your DAW is capable of freezing. Freezing is the Pro Tools lingo. So I'm rendering them out so now we're reading an audio file instead of the computer CPU and RAM, going after getting occupied with the plugin, with the virtual instrument. So now I freeze them, and now I get all that memory back and all that juicy goodness, and now I'm ready to move on the next list of 100 issues I want to fix with this song. But I hope that workflow benefits you guys. Sean from Shootie School, rock on.